So I'm just finishing up my first week as a full-time indie developer, and it's been a pretty good week. Now, the goal for my first week was to essentially build momentum. I wasn't trying to be super productive and get a ton of stuff done and kind of pack my schedule. Simply build momentum. As I was wrapping up my previous job and still working on Sofa at the same time, there had been essentially a month gap where I had not written any code. And whenever you have gaps like that, you need time to get back into it. You can't just dive in on the first day and be exactly where you were a month ago from a mental state. This week was really just focused on getting comfortable again in the code base to keep working on the feature I've been working on. I've been getting a lot of questions from people around basically how am I going to spend my time, and a lot of the questions are, so what are you going to do all day? I think a question like that comes from the kind of astonishment of the amount of freedom that you have over your day. You know, I've never had this level of control over my time. I find myself to be a fairly disciplined person, so I'm not too concerned about that going in a sideways direction. But what I'm doing initially is I'm setting an initial schedule for myself. I know it's probably going to be wrong and I'll have to change it, but that's fine. I'll change it, as I learn more. But my initial schedule is essentially Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. It's going to be fully focused or majority focused on Sofa, writing code, designing new features, all that kind of stuff. I want Thursday to mostly be a YouTube day. That's for kind of planning new videos, filming, editing, all that kind of stuff. And ideally, if I could record and edit multiple videos within a single day, that would be great. But initially, I'm going to start with just one. And then Fridays are going to be admin, answering support emails, and then any kind of leftover stuff from the previous days. Now, that being said, this week, that was my plan going into this week. The first 3 days, I definitely stuck to that, where Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we're focused on writing code for Sofa and getting more comfortable within the code base. I'm filming this on a Friday, but Thursday, again, was supposed to be a YouTube day, but I actually ended up writing code again. So I was feeling good momentum with that, and I wanted to keep that going. So I did that for a fourth day. And now Friday's kind of getting squashed into an admin day with the YouTube stuff, which I'm doing now, which I think is fine for this week, because I'll be probably changing my posting schedule for YouTube to be on Saturdays instead of in the middle of the week like I was doing before. But again, that stuff, I'll figure that out as I go. And I don't mind that my schedule changed throughout the week based on what I was working on. Actually, that's kind of the beauty of this, is I can set an initial plan and then make adjustments as necessary, right? So I was making good momentum and good progress on the coding side of things, so I wanted to keep that going for another day. And then today, again, it's going to be mostly admin and YouTube stuff, but I think it's okay to have that flex, because that's kind of the benefit of what I'm doing. So like I said before, there was a month gap of me writing any code. Jumping back into writing code after even a couple weeks of not looking at it, it takes me a little bit of time to warm up to things and to kind of build up my working memory for what I was actually working on. One of the things I do, which is very helpful, is I essentially keep like a journal or work log as I'm working every day. And I write notes for what I was working on, what I was maybe stuck on, and what the plan is for the next time I jump into it. That was very helpful for getting back into things. But still, it takes a little bit of time to build up that momentum. Honestly, by Wednesday, I was feeling much more comfortable writing code again. And then that's why I kept going on Thursday, because I was, I felt like I was moving at a better pace, and I didn't want to stop that momentum. And the stuff I was working on this week is I showed a preview a few videos back of the custom buckets feature that I'm working on. And the stuff that I'm working on this week is very in the weeds, infrastructure related to that feature, that there's nothing really to show you about that, because there's no like UI stuff specific. It's a lot of the plumbing that is going to make all of that stuff work. And I got a lot of that stuff done this week, which again, carrying into next week, I should be able to get into more of the UI side of things to start making better progress on that feature. Now, I do want to get into some of the either good and bad or pros and cons, or maybe not even those things, just kind of general thoughts or observations that I've had this week. I've always had a job, and this is the first time where I've had this much control over my day. There's good things about that. There's weird things about that. I haven't experienced anything like super bad about that, but there are some weird things happening. So let's start with some good stuff. Number one, running errands is super easy. To the point where it's like kind of funny. I had to go to the DMV this week, which I knew was going to take up some time, but it was okay. I was able to do that. I was able to get lunch with a friend with no issue there. Being able to go out and run an errand and not have to be messaging people on Slack or stressing about getting back on time for a meeting or something it's nice. The other thing is, so far this week, each day has felt calmer than the day before. That's something I've been wanting for a long time. I prefer to work very slowly and really take my time with what I'm working on and not feel rushed through things. And so far that has been the experience. And I know this is only the first week. I'm sure when I look back in maybe 6 months or a year, I will have different feelings about this, and I'm sure that will ebb and flow. But so far this week has been nice and calm in a way that I haven't had that in a working environment in a long time. Some of the weird stuff is it doesn't actually feel like this is my job yet. It kind of feels like on a staycation and I'm just kind of working on this, which I've done before. It kind of feels like I'm eventually going to go back to my old job, right? I haven't like fully detached from that yet, which I think is to be expected. It's only been 2 weeks since that point, but it's very odd how this doesn't feel like a significant change yet. It feels like, oh, I have this week off. I'm just going to do a bunch of sofa work and that'll be nice. I do wonder how long it's going to take for this to feel like, oh yeah, this is my job now. I don't know if that'll be weeks or months. I have no idea, but definitely don't feel it yet. Feels strange. The last thing, I guess this is kind of a bad thing, and I would assume this will ease up over time, but I do feel a little guilty as well. My wife works a full-time job and she goes to work every day. And there is a guilt that I feel about, oh, I get to stay home and work on exactly what I want to work on. And I have control of my time and my day. Yeah, there's some guilt with that. Any other Catholics out there? Now, no one's making me feel guilty. That is purely self-imposed, but it's there, and I would like it to go away as fast as possible. That would be excellent. So like I said, this has been a good first week. I'm building momentum, and I feel like I've kind of achieved the goal that I sent out for the first week, which is, again, to build momentum for future weeks, right? Because it's not about just the 1 week. It's really to keep this going at a natural pace, at a pace that will not burn me out, at a pace that I can make good progress and do good work. So I think this week has been a success with that, and I feel like I'm set up well for next week. And hopefully next week isn't a disaster. Hopefully we're good. But anyway, I'll see you next week. Bye.